If something's strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Swamp Hopper! If there's something scary and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Swamp Hopper! Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Redheaded Step Stacker, and I'm back, and it's time to play. Get out the sandbox. Get out the Tonka toys. We're going to town Saturday night, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the family gathering. On behalf of Farrah Fawcett, I'd like to welcome you. Oh, you think I'm not sober, but you would be incorrect. Is that Gibby in the house? Woo, Gibster! Very interesting thing has happened. I've started a medication, if I didn't mention it, and my eyeglasses don't work. When I take my eyeglasses off, I see better, and that's a side effect. Most of the time, it fucks with people's, pardon my language, with their vision. I am very sorry, Gibby. I know you're surrounded by like 12 kids. I should not have swore. I apologize to you youngsters who heard Grandpa's phone. That's one of Grandpa's bad friends. All right, let's jump into it a little bit. So anyways, for me to read your comments, I have to take out these $1 enlargers. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hello, I lost my clothes. Killer Fudge is, not only is he now monetized, he is the Prime Minister of India. He is selling t-shirts, great ones, including Indian ones, because he is, they might promote him to a god. And Donald Trump was thinking about making Killer Fuzz the ambassador to India. So a lot going over on the Killer Fuzz channel. Jump on over. Memberships are available. I am a member. Let's see what Gibby said. I got it. See, these are the new frames that the black ladies wear. These big, but they're kind of, they made, you know, like these big new frames that are coming out, but this is like the $1.25 store version. It's all good. They're all asleep or laying down. All right, I had to jump that one. Dave Carl, oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave! Every time, I don't see Dave that much. In the coin community, I'll hop in. He's always there. He's always there. If there were 1,000 Daves in this world, or at least subscribe to my channel, I'd be doing so much better. Dave, welcome. I've known Dave and Gibby. Gibby and Dave know each other, and I've known Dave. It's 10 years, dude. It's 10 years, if not 11 years. And I can't remember if it was you. I know you were a part of the conversation when you guys told me, dude, your lens on your eye, your retina's ripped. You were there that day. I know you were one of the people in the conversation. There was two of you. All right, let's hop in. There's very, very, very exciting things going on here at the Explore America channel, although it may not be for you. What you see behind me, if you're not aware, is I got a heart from Ross. He's on his way. Ross Love has just texted me. He's on his way. And what you're looking at here is the cover to a comic book that I am absolutely positive that I'm not going to make 12 cents on, and I don't expect you to buy it. Oh, yeah, I do, as a matter of fact, because for $1, you'll be able to get the digital copy pre-release, and I can release on Amazon in the #1 spot. One thing we're going to learn tonight and this year is that a very small hand number of people can push the needle across the board. And I think on the other channel, we've learned that when we've called the White House, and within 48 hours, Donald Trump is to, because 12 of us call in, but to the White House, that equals 12,000 people's opinions. Or is it 3,000 or 10? It's 10,000. So that's like, everybody who called into the White House represented 10,000 people. These are what 10,000 people think, and they've called in and they left a message. So we're gonna move the Rubicon on Amazon. We're gonna break the curve on Amazon in a few months, and it's gonna cost you $1. But we're gonna put this book. Now, here's exciting. Why the hell am I making a comic book when I know that the worst manufacturing industry in America is comic books? The only good ideas I come up with are freaking manufacturing ideas. Let me see if I'm missing something. I'll be back to the chat. Remember, I got to put these on. Judy's in the house. Welcome, Michigan Swamp Hopper. So why am I doing this? Here's the thing. It's 100%. The first leg of this journey is 100% money out of the pocket, but there's a good reason for it. The industry buys up good stories. When I say industry, the movie industry, the video game industry, even if you're comic, they buy up all the good independent. They try to buy them up. They get options on the heroes and the stories, and that's where the money's made. So me and Swampy got a deal. It's 90% to me, so I could pay for all of that, what's going on, and then I'm giving him 10% licensing for being Swampy. So the goal is to make a passive income for Swampy, just for being Swampy, and then I get paid for doing all the work on my side. If we go to a movie, if somebody offers us wants an option on a movie or a video game, it's 50-50 with me and Swampy. Anything outside of me and Swampy is 50-50. So if I can option this and not give up property owner being IP, so I own the intellectual property and I'm not giving it up, but I will option it out. And they will buy it up because my writing teacher at Second City in Chicago was Stephen Carell from The Office. Okay, I know what I'm doing here. Okay, I understand a 3-act play. I understand the beginning, the middle, and the end. And the twist in this comic book is so freaking good and satisfying. There's here's the deal. I'm having a problem trying to figure out. The first leg of this journey is for me to make a mini comic book, and they call them ash cans. And I'm going to send 10 to the top. I already found them. I already got a list. I got the list of the top 50 comic book shops in America. There's 2,200 comic book shops and shrinking daily. So I'm going to get the top 50, maybe the top 100, 2 in each state, and I'm going to send each one of them, hopefully, 10 copies each of the mini comic book. And a mini comic book is half the size of a regular comic book, okay? Half the size. And that's actually the size of Reader's Digest. So I'm going to send these comic books out. There's a leg with, and inside that, now I'm having problems with the dimensions here, but inside that mini comic book, it will be put into one of these plastic sleeves with the cardboard backing, and the intention is to have a poster, this poster, signed by Swampy and me. It'll say The Real Life Swampy, and it'll have his autograph, and it'll say creator me. And we're going to send those for free sit here, handwrite everything, to the top 50 comic book stores in America and say, please give these ash can comics, that's what they're called, because they ended up in the ash can, please give these ash can comics to your best customers. Well, they're going to give it to their best customers, somebody that comes in once a week and buys all the new titles, right? Why would you give them to somebody who's not that person? Okay? But the best customer in a comic book store could be my best customer. Sorry, I'm shrinking here, but I wanted you guys to see what's going on here. So the best customers in this comic book store are going to get a packet like this with a smaller comic book inside that has like 8 pages of the comic and a poster sign. That's how this does not end up in the ash can. The thing that the owner of the store gave out won't end up in the garbage. Who knows if that's a freaking autographed poster? I don't know these guys. But what if something happens? I have to save this. If I throw this away and this Swamp Hopper comic book turns into something, I'm an idiot. Now, something I'm going to write into the story, and this one's for Swampy. Is drinking off the gallon. All right, 1 gallon a day, baby. Me and Swamp both do a gallon a day. Sorry for that interruption. So we get the mini comic books out, okay? They go to 50 people. They're thumbing through the comic book, and on the back page is a QR code, and that QR code takes us to swamphopper.com, which there I can direct traffic to Amazon, to a Kickstarter, to eBay, or somewhere like that. So I have the home address. I know I need to send people to Kickstarter. The whole point of the mini comic book is to send people to Kickstarter. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm on a new medication. I cannot see anything on the screen. I can see the comics scrolling. It looks like Chinese to me, the comments. I see them. If I put these $1.25 things on, I can read. Michigan says, yeah, a gallon a day, most days. Hell yeah. Judy says, do we need to make a Swampy hat? Ooh, I would pay for a Swampy hat, a Swamp Hopper hat, and you already have the hats. Actually, I can order the hats because the colors are black and green, and I know you got a lot of black and red. But Judy, I do want to buy some Explore America hats, just because you got stuck with that stock on the red Step Stacker hats, which I'm wearing right now. And so I don't want that stock to sit there. And it's just as well but now let me get this. Now that I got the comic book thing in the way, the money's tied up a little bit. So the mini comic books go out. The back page of the mini comic book, is this the size of a mini? No. The back page of this mini comic book that I'm going to send out, that's going to cost me about $1.20 each, or 99 cents. I found a printer. And my neighbor's a printer, and she helped me a lot. As a matter of fact, she actually prints this one, which won an Eisner Award. This is a Chicago-based comic book called The Santos Sisters. It's about 2 Latina sisters. It's actually pretty good. They're superheroes. That was kind of family-orientated, but there's some other comics in there that aren't as family-oriented. But they won the biggest award you can get. And I will submit this comic book for story. And these guys actually won against Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and somebody else. So there were 5 people nominated, and Santos won against those big titles. Anyway, so where was I? The mini comic takes the people at swamphopper.com. Swamphopper.com at the very beginning will only bring people to a Kickstarter. Now in the Kickstarter, and I'm not going to ask, if you guys want to come help the Kickstarter, I appreciate it. But the point of this is to find an authentic consumer. And Kickstarter's not a bad place to do that, because there are a lot of comic and animation people funding projects on Kickstarter, so that's not a bad place to go. But where you guys will come in, and I'll come to each of your houses and give you a damn dollar if I have to. Here's the trick to Amazon, okay? Don't tell anybody I'm telling you this, but if you're going to release a book, what you do is you have pre-orders, okay? And in the pre-orders, you have you do your digital copy of the book for $1. So we're going to get it. I'm going to look for 1,000 people between this channel and the other channel to pre-buy my book. So week number 1 and forever on there, I believe it's forever, that you get the bestseller. You get when somebody is scrolling through, it says bestseller on there. So you earn that title by being on the bestsellers list. And I can launch at the top of the bestsellers list for animated books, for graphic novels and animated books. So when I have that in my pocket, and I take a physical copy of the Swamp Hopper comic book, and I send it to every movie studio in the United States and say, is this something that you'd be interested in optioning? They open up the first page and they see a 1,500-pound Holstein cow 80 feet in the air in a big-ass tree in the swamp. Okay? Hook. And I have just completed page 19. I started writing this comic book, and I mean, I'm ready to go to print up to page 19 right now. Okay? It's only supposed to be 20 pages. Some of the better books go up to 28, 36 pages. We're easily going to hit 28 pages. Easily. So I send this book off to all the studios and all the video game companies. And by the way, a new video game company just opened up, and they got one title out so far, and it is based on a comic book. It's a two-dimensional. So they went back to the old school 90s. So this video game company doesn't make three-dimensional shooter games. They make two-dimensional, think like Street Fighter. A lot of the Sega Genesis games from back in the 90s. And I think that would be a great place for Swamp Hopper. You know, remember Pitfall from Atari, but it was only 8-bit, and, Genesis was 32-bit, so it was a little bit more, less boxy. Think Pitfall, it's a two-dimensional game. So Swampy would be running across the screen in the swamp. Okay, I think this game's a perfect candidate for that. And what I've heard is this company's got a lot of money. Somebody wrote a lot, so I better shut up for a second. Judy says, Red, give us the list of the type of comic book shops, and we can start calling them and asking if they have genius. Ladies and gentlemen, genius. Actually, that would be a good idea. Like, if everybody called the ones in their state, I'm sure there's not that many, not everyone in the state, but if you call a couple in the state. But the thing is, that gets into distribution. There are a couple, this is where it gets crazy, and I've been actually watching a channel that he's just a comic book lawyer, okay? So I've actually been thinking about this as far as distribution goes, so the comic book store can get their hands, because they're only buying from a couple, I shouldn't say distributors, they're buying from distributors, but the publishers, There's a couple publishers that do not mess with your IP, your intellectual property, which means that me and Swampy are safe because they don't want half to own half of the IP. So that way we're protected. You see, me and Swampy, we're not rich guys. I'm sitting in a 600 square foot room. But if me and Swampy, like if I did this on my own, it would be a character about somebody else. But if I make it about Swampy, then we both get something. So I just multiplied what we get. They gotta have the permission from Swampy to use Swampy, you know, to like use his likeness or his name. And I have created the likeness of the real man, and this is really damn close to the real thing. If you haven't met Swampy, he looks like that. I don't know about all the muscles. I ain't seen him, you know, naked, but that looks like Swampy to me. Judy, can you attest that this looks like Swampy? Here we go. Swampy. Except for the eye patch was me. And by the way, Swampy, I only got 3 of each of these. And I do have yours right here. But I got to find a safe way to mail it. So I took one of each of the color posters that I had made up. And I put yours aside safely. And by the way, I didn't show you this before. I'll show you now. When I was out there in Sedona hanging with Ronette, look where Mr. Brown's pointing the gun and I'm worried. Isn't that funny? We went to the Blazing M Ranch and we did the photos. And that's them. I'm losing a little weight, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that chubby guy. Look at this guy. All right. So, poster size. Yeah, what I did find out, okay, we're gonna, now what I did find out is if I double the size of this, I'm at 19.5 by 10.5. So that's an odd size. And that was what has to fit in here, along with the mini comic that's the size of a Reader's Digest. It's called an ash can. So there'll be a poster folded in half and an ash can, and 5 or 10 of these go, depending, you know, 10 go to each state, 1 or 2 different stores, and then give these to your best customer. And I'm actually going to get a handmade stamp so I could stamp right here on the back of the poster, autographed poster, and then the magazine will be down there. So that's to get people to go to the Kickstarter. That's the reason why I'm going to spend at least $500, probably closer to 6 or 7, just on the ash can, is to get the promotion out, because when they get to the back page of the mini comic, then they're going to see the QR code on the website and say, hey, if you want the full comic, go here. And then they go there, and then they click to the Kickstarter. There's going to be, when we do the Kickstarter, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I am going to make I think it's just going to be 33 copies, and I'm not trying to sell this to you, I'm just telling you my plan, of this cover, which is the old-fashioned 80s cover. You know, they had it's you used to say Marvel, but it says Punch Comic Group. You know, the layout is the same of an 80s Marvel comic right there. And instead of saying $5 right there, it's going to say 99 cents. I'm going to make 33 of those. And 33 posters. And that will probably be the top end tier thing. And it's going to be like $33. It's not going to be much. I'm not going to try and raise $16,000, which they do. So many first-time artists are easily raising $16,000, $5,000, $8,000. I saw $62,000 raised for somebody's comic book. Okay, I'm just going to put like an arbitrary number like 900 or 333. It doesn't matter. That I'm not expecting to make much of this money back in the beginning. And I understand clearly that there's no way in God's world that this is really going to be a comic book that goes crazy. I really honestly have a better chance of winning the lottery, which I'm going to. And maybe this is mine and Swampy's lottery, who knows. But that's not going to come from comic sales. So it'd be nice if a lot of people bought it. And if I did get a publisher and did agree with the publisher. Now, the publisher that I'm looking... Now, there is a huge prejudice in comic books which does disqualify me, and is I am using AI. I'm not using AI in a bad way. AI is not writing the story. AI is not making the pictures holy. The comic book is 19 pages long right now, and it's 54 frames. There are only 54 pictures in the book, and the font type is 18. In a regular comic book, the font type is 10 or 12. So the words are bigger, the pictures are bigger. The story is so good, there's a lot of frames that don't even have words. The picture's telling the story so well. Now, I can't get AI to do what I want, okay? And I'm working in models. So I drew a picture, and I gave it to AI to ink and color. Now, comic book creators, they're like, AI is this, and AI is going to take our jobs, and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Okay, comic creators, independent comic creators, you've been using AI for over a decade, okay? You're worried about losing your job so much, you fired the inker and the colorist. You press a freaking button and color your comic, and then you're yelling about AI? You touch a button and the program outlines your pencil drawing in ink. You fired the colorist. You fired the inkist, and now you're going to bitch about you getting fired? Okay, so what I did is I drew the picture and I made models. My picture is nowhere near as good as the final one, but it will be soon. We'll be doing a live drawing of Swampy and Bigfoot. I don't think I'm going to be able to draw the Indian guy. Wait till you meet him. So there is a huge prejudice. For some reason, I can't get my chat messages to send. Oh, I don't know. But I know you're here. So there's a big controversy with AI right now. And here's the thing. 90% of comic book artists can't tell a story. Maybe 95% have no clue how to tell a story. I've been going through Webtoons and these are not comic books. These are people who missed an appointment with their psychologist, and they're putting it into a book. You know, and maybe that's what kids are reading now. You know, I've been victimized, and here's a comic book about it. And it starts off talking about my victimization. And then I click on a video to learn something, and it's 20 minutes of these people talking about their freaking emotions. I mean, I don't mean to sound like an old man, but I clicked on the video to learn this thing, and you're telling me. Anyways, so the controversy is BS. But it is going to make it hard. I'm concerned that we will be rejected. Like, maybe going to a Comic-Con and getting a table is a really bad idea. But, like, for instance, today, I spent 5 hours on trying to create a model of a airboat or a swamp boat, they call them, with the big fan on the back. The proper dimensions and length, the boat that our character owns is 8 feet wide and 20 feet long. The character himself, I tell AI he's 6 feet, and I give him the character. This is the actual character. This is what I give AI. So every time I do a scene, I give AI the character. So I give AI this, I give AI the Bigfoot, and I say, okay, then I go, this is what I did for the fight scene. I go on Google and I say, show me some of the best wrestling moves of the 80s. What pops up is Hulk Hogan's pile driver, elbow slide, And what I do is I explain Hulk Hogan's move to AI and say, put this character and Bigfoot into this position. And then AI doesn't do what I asked, and all of a sudden Swampy's got rabbit ears for some fucking reason, and I gotta start again. And then I make about 200 or 300 images, and I finally get what I want. That's exactly how this has gone. So I am the director. I am telling the actors where to stand. I am creating the Batmobile, per se, Swampy's airboat. Right now, the next thing I have to do on Swampy's airboat, and by the way, for $20 a month, I can't use ChatGPT for 9.5 hours because I've run out of my limit. I got to make the scoop on the front of the boat a little higher and make it look a little bit more badass. It took me about an hour and a half to get the fan to the size I wanted it to be behind Swampy while he's sitting in the boat with his hand on the lever going, blah, and his hair's blowing. But send a list of comic book shops. Yes. That list I have to go back and get. I know where it is. It is in my ChatGPT. I just asked ChatGPT. I said, ChatGPT, what are the top 50 in each state? Give me the top comic book in each state. And it did. And it gave me the address and the phone number and everything. So I'll go back and do that and copy and paste and make something. If somebody wants to jump in and call it later, we're talking 6 months from now because I haven't even gone to print yet. But we are on page 19. Let me give you a great example. I hope I'm not ignoring you by not having these glasses on. RMD303 says, Judy Fontaine, keep trying, maybe close out and come back up. Oh, yeah. Okay, so where was I next? The comic book shops, Kickstarter, Sell Up. Okay, I talked about that. Money to the Sedona. So I thought of something interesting and may be cheap. They tried baseball, they tried trading cards in comic books, and they're still trying it, and it ain't working. About a month before I found out it wasn't working, because the printer that I'm going to use prints trading cards, and nobody wants them. And right now they're giving them away like 50 cents a pack, and they got foil wrapping, and they're real nice. But I was thinking the other day, I need to trademark this idea. I need to protect this idea. Most comic books come in this. Okay, plastic bag with the cardboard backing. What if the cardboard backing was the trading card? This is a trading card. Not only is it the protection for your comic book, and by the way, this one is from like the 80s, and it's a minty condition, but it's a trading card. And what if the first one was number 0. And that was part of the Kickstarter. That could be part of the Kickstarter for the $33, if that's the way we're going. That was not the route I was on. I was talking about the people bitching about AI. Okay, and I'm in AI. So I am directing, completely directing, painstakingly directing every single shot. That's what I was going to tell you. The fight scene. The fight scene. I am on page 19. Every 2 or 3 pages, something happens. If there's 2 talking heads, something happens. Nothing goes to there is not a lot of words. There's not a need for too many words. The first couple of pages, I don't do a lot of setup. You're right into it. As soon as you open up the book, Swampy gets a call. Swampy just came home. He's Special Forces, National Guard, and that takes us to number 2. If we get to comic book number 2, we're going to Sedona. And when we go to Sedona, we're going to Secret Mountain. And Secret Mountain is where Ronette and Mr. Brown took AJ and I to watch UFOs. And we saw hundreds of UFOs being guided in by helicopters and guided out by helicopters. And they would go up and then they'd be gone. Like bats out of hell. Which leads me to believe it's not a drone. They do move like drones, like in the sense that they can go in any direction they want, but they don't really move like drones. So if we make it to book number 2, we're changing the colors. I kind of want to do a scene in the Italian restaurant. I've been thinking this for 2 weeks, and then Judy Fontaine today said Italian restaurant she was going. And I've been thinking, I was like, wow, I'd really like to put that Italian restaurant as if my camera angle was on the corner of the property looking at the building, because the building's sideways and it's got not a very big parking lot, and it's not a very big restaurant, but it is a very good restaurant where they have like, I think it was like a zillion different kinds of pizza or at least pizzas you have never eaten anywhere else. It was a really good restaurant in Sedona. So we go to Sedona, and I've already got the story. I've already got the whole thing. Swampy, they're going to this Black Ops mission because Black Ops are illegal, and they get onto the secret mountain base, and Swampy sees lizards in high-ranking military uniforms. And Swampy shoots one, but nobody else sees the lizards. Now Swampy's getting arrested for murdering a general. How does he get out of it? It's all written, baby. It's all written. So, after the first wave of sending all of these comic books out, and that's what they want. That's what the studio wants. They want a comic book in their hand. They go look at it and go, oh, we could do this. And I've listened to a million readers, people who are hired by the studios to read scripts, to read comic books, to read things that are submitted. And they all say the same thing. I'm out in 2 scenes. In this book, the first page grabs you and puts the hook in your mouth. Dead cow, 1,500-pound Holstein, 80 feet in the air in the crotch of a tree. Gotcha. Then scene 2. Swampy's getting called out. We find out Swampy's got a wolf. The fight scene is 6 pages long. But listen to this. Listen, slow down. There's only 19 frames. And every frame, or at least 16 or 17 of those frames, are very dynamic, which means that it looks like there's actually motion going on in the picture while you're looking at it. And because he's fighting with a Bigfoot, there's not a lot of words, although he finds out very quickly, because most reports, everything in this book is historically or reportedly correct, as it's been reported. A lot of people who have Bigfoot encounters hear a very loud voice in their head telling them to get the F out. Before they even know they're getting tracked by Bigfoot or getting flanked by a Bigfoot, they hear a voice telling them to get the F out of that area of the woods. So that's in the book. So that's part of the fight scene. At the end of the fight scene, we find out that Bigfoot's not the bad guy. And the bad guy is the guy who you depend on to be the good guy. And the end of the book is effing amazing. The last frame of the fight scene is literally emotional, and there's no words in the frame. There's no words, there's no sadness in the frame. But it is so emotionally grabbing. Judy's texting me. Hats, shirts, tumblers, coffee cups, and all of that's true. And our marketing department happens to be able to do all that, and that's Judy. She can make the tumblers, she can make the hats, she can make the t-shirts. As a matter of fact, I actually have an olive green t-shirt. I'm actually getting 2 of these made at the local printer, one for me, one for, I already bought the t-shirts and I have the artwork done. So mine and Swampy's t-shirts getting done. We're going to get the olive green shirt with the logo of the wolf on the shirt. Me and Swampy are each going to have our copy. If we ever do a signing, Swampy, you got to wear the shirt. You don't have to wear the eye patch, but it would look good if you did. And what makes this a big seller, it's the only comic book. I did a lot of research on this. The only time in history that comic books have been written about real people who are alive today. So not George Washington. There's a lot of historical comic books. But someone who's actually here with us today, a current person, they weren't even alive at the time, but they died recently, they hired a bunch of the well-known artists to do comic books on other well-known artists. So Swampy, as far as I could find, is going to be the only real living superhero in a comic book. He's going to be the only real action figure that's a real person. And that's part of the story. The reason why I sold so many guitar picks is not because they were amazingly excellent, which they were, and they did exactly what they said I would do. Each one would provide a completely different tone. But it's because I have a backstory of building guitars for rock stars, for being at the factory and spending 2 hours, maybe, working. Everybody worked, and they made sure everybody got their hands on the 5-neck. And I sanded that thing for 2 hours. So did everybody else. So we had the story. So me telling the story, of course, other guitars I worked on, like Billy Corgan's 57 or 51 Strat copy, which was weighed 100 pounds. I don't know why he wanted that. He never played it anywhere. But anyway, so I've done a lot of, extensive 8 hours here, 10 hours there on guitars that come past my station. But everybody got their hands on the 5-neck. Everybody in the factory has the story. I worked on the 5-neck. That's what sold my guitar picks. Swampy's a real life guy. That's what sells the comic book. Why you want to read this? This is a real life guy. This is the exaggerated stories about a real man. Really freaking exaggerated. Lizard generals in Sedona. But the sales pitch is this is exaggerated. These are exaggerated stories of a real life man. Swamp Hopper. So that's our hook. Again, first page of the comic. Let me see if I'm missing something. Definitely trademark. Yep, I already got that covered too. and LLC. Yeah. Trademark. Copyright is already done. Trademark, I have to have 3 issues to trademark a character, but there's other things you could trademark, like the name. Okay, but somebody else could trademark the name, but they have to use it for something completely different because this character and this story and the artwork is copyrighted. So, yes, the protection is already built in. As a matter of fact, just me hanging these posters here right now indicates copyright. So someone would have to come up with that character earlier than 2 weeks ago when I first showed it to you. But then I have the regular copyright in place. But a trademark's not that much. It's about $700. But there's also the fact that looks like Swampy, and it's got his name on it. So in court, somebody have a hard time arguing Swampy about his likeness and his name. So we're kind of covered 8 ways to Sunday for anybody messing with us. I said the baseball cards. Poster size, Amazon. So I will mention the Amazon for anybody who's just walked in, as we are after the Kickstarter, near next fall or winter. We're going to go up on Amazon. You're going to be able to get the digital copy for $1. And I am going to push so hard to get 1,000 people to buy that damn thing. I don't want the money. I don't need the money. I need it to say bestseller at the top. I need to be the top of the bestseller for graphic novels for the week that we launch. And then when I send it to Universal Studios, I say, I was the bestseller on Amazon when my first week, I opened up at the top of the charts. Do you want to buy this? Do you want to give me and Swampy some money? And on that deal, me and Swampy are 50-50. Anything that comes from movie studios or video games, we're 50-50. Everything else between me and him is me recovering cost. He gets to be Swampy. I get to be the guy that pays for the idea to get that out. And I don't care if they ever make a Swampy movie. I mean, it would be nice. But all I need him to do is option the Swampy movie. That's all I need. I need a good deal on, like, if there's going to be Swampy toys, Swampy needs to get paid. The real Swampy. If you're going to put Swampy on a damn shelf, he gets a piece. Boom. That's the whole idea. If they don't do that, then whatever option money they give us, we'll take and let them do whatever they want. They don't own the property. They can option the property and make movies about it. We can option the movie to Universal. We can option the cartoon rights to Filmation. We can option have somebody else write the comic book strip. You can option these things to different companies. It's not all one company. You're going to option your toys out left and right. We could say, no, we could say Universal Studios, you can make toys. And specifically how it works, this is interesting. Universal, you can make 3.5 or 3 1/4, call them 4-inch. They're 3.75. A Star Wars character, a G.I. Joe, 3.75 inches. You can option the 3.75-inch action figures, but this other company is going to make the 12-inch action figures. So you could have that toy in that size, in that specific, and you could make toys for younger kids where they can't swallow parts, and then this other company is going to make McFarlane type statues. So the option doesn't just go one place. The option can go dozens of different places. I mean, you could option to a shopping bag company. If you go to the Dollar Tree today, you're going to see shopping bags. I just saw it today with Spider-Man on it. It's a freaking shopping bag with Spider-Man. They had to pay for licensing to do that. So me and Swampy could option to them. And then me and Swampy split the money. See? But what we need to ensure the success, to ensure the hook goes in the mouth of the person reading the script, I want to be able to say we are number 1 on the Amazon bestseller list on our launch. We funded a Kickstarter. $333, $999. We are going with 33s, and it has nothing to do with whatever they're called, those guys. But 33 is a really good number for me. 9 has always been a really good number for me. Is Dave still here? Dave! Probably not. He's got 100 friends with channels. He's got to flip around. Gibby says, Swampy cartoon. Etched these days with lizard people. Not so far fetched these days. Exactly. And everything in the story is real. At the beginning, the second page of our book, I think we're mentioning, maybe it's the 7th page. In our story, the Indian tells Swampy that there was a peace treaty, a trilateral peace treaty between the whites and the American Indians against Bigfoot. There was a war, 1855. Now it's lore, and there's no proof of it, but everything in this story goes with lore. The cow, 80 feet in the air, was a 350-pound buck, 30 feet in the air. Okay, and that happens a lot. Bigfoot takes hunters' deer and puts them up in a tree where the hunter can't get it, and then they come back for it later. There's dozens of Bigfoot stories that have a deer in it. So every part of the story. Right now, I just ended the fight scene. Like I said, there is 6-page fight scene. It's only 19 pictures. There's only 19 different frames in the fight scene in 6 pages. One page is just one picture of the fist right up by the edge of the camera, Bigfoot taking it, and Swampy flying up in the air, giving a punch to Bigfoot's face. The whole page is just that beautiful picture. And it's dynamic. It looks like it is actually in motion. So and the font's real big. So you could read it, and your grandkid can read it, and most importantly, there's no blood. There is blood. There's 2 or 3 drops of blood at a point when Swamp Hopper shoots a rattlesnake in the head. 2 or 3 drops. Okay? There's maybe no swearing. I might have used the word bastard. So this is a comic book grandparents can give to their kids. And grandparents can read it. And it's written for people over 40. How to get in touch with Toy Man. I've been looking online at videos for that today, Judy. Oh, you got back in. I have been working for years. If I can find them and give you the contact info. Yeah, because I've been looking all day. Because if I can, depending on how big the run is. Now, I know what the trick is with the action figures is there's going to be a generic body that gets painted the way we want. And then we got to pay for the sculpt of the head. But head sculpting is such a... I can go on eBay right now and get somebody to custom sculpt me a head. I could do that. But it's made for an 8-inch figure. We could do 8-inch figures like the Migos right here. That's why they sculpt the heads. For those bodies. But then we got a naked doll, and we got to make actual material clothing, which might be a pain in the ass. So I would say we get the pants that they had from Star Trek, but make them brown, so it looks like leather pants. and a white jersey or green jersey with the white logo on it, and a bow and arrow, and we got an 8-inch action figure. So let me see. Judy says Bill Getty. Okay, I'll look that up. Get not het. Find them and can give you there. So let's see if I'm missing any fun stuff here. Oh, by the way, if you're joining us late, these are some of the pictures that we took in Sedona at the Blazin' M Ranch, which is owned by a couple in their 40s. I believe the wife is from Russia, maybe Poland. She's got a thick accent, and they're an adorable couple. And the video I did, the POV video of the dinner theater, I watch it. It is really, really fun. And the end is really, really good. They pull this big trick on the whole audience at the end of the video. I don't know if it's a trick, but it's a stunt. It was very interesting. It's Blazing M Ranch POV dinner with Ronette and Mr. Brown. And I'm basically sitting at the table right behind Mr. Brown and Ronette. And I'm filming the stage, but you could see Mr. Brown and Ronette laughing, and then Ronette has a nice interaction with the guy on stage, the MC, who's the owner of the establishment. If you're ever in Sedona, you got to go to the Blazing M Ranch. I do need to make a proper video about Sedona, about where to go, because Ronette took AJ and I everywhere. We literally did 3. There was only one day we did 2 things. Every day I think we did 3 things, 3 big things every day. So I know, like, what was I there for, 4 or 5? I know at least 12 to 15 different things you could do in Sedona that are cool. I also have a lot of footage left. I have, if you guys are into glass blowing and you want to see amazing vase and amazing candy bowl that Ronette made, that Mama Knows made, glass blowing, and they've been glass blowing. There's lots of stuff in their house that is blown glass that they've made at this blown glass shop. I do have another video coming. It's like 70 minutes. I gotta cut down a little bit. I do have a lot of stuff to put out. You know, in the wintertime, I get a little slow. I also have Mr. Brown and Mama Knows went to Massachusetts, to Boston, and they did the whole tour, and they sent me that. I have to learn about what they saw before I could turn it into a video. I have to narrate what you're seeing. But I do have a lot of stuff to put out. I'm going to put on my $1.50 readers. I know these are for girls, but they're big. All right. RMD, which is Ross Love. Fahrenheit was, I shouldn't have said that. Fahrenheit was a Mason at 33 degree ice is free. Kickstart $330 is good, but $350 is better. I'm going to start it low. And maybe just the premium prize I will get to calculate to that amount. Not prize, but the premium pack. So the premium pack would have the double-signed poster, the cover that says 99 cents, not $5, with the old-fashioned cover, probably some stickers or a bookmark or some other swaggy type stuff. And then everything else would just be the regular comic book with the regular cover. Basically that one. And I don't know. I don't know. I've got that's going to be step 2. So the mini comics are step 1. The Kickstarter is step 2. Amazon is step 3, and step 4 is taking copies that I have on hand and mailing them to every studio in the United States and to the video game companies. So it's kind of a project, and it's not just a comic book project. It's a experiment. It's an experiment to see how we can move the needle on Amazon, which I know we can, but I just need to prove to people that they can do that. That when a small group of people get together, they can move mountains on the internet very, very easily. Move mountains. And I've, as a creator who went viral for every freaking video for the first year before they took me down, I can attest to that. I've lived it. But once you see it and feel it and you're part of it, then you're like, oh boy, we could do this. All you had to do is click on this button and we could literally change the algorithm of the internet. The information that's available, or what is perceived as the truth, is now changed because X number of people have thumbed up this video. When you thumb up a video, Promethean Actions, you must be subscribed to those two old broads. I love them. I know one was FBI. I think one was CIA. She doesn't talk about it much. And they have all the stories that are going on today. They've been following since they first got hired out of college in the 70s. So I don't need to do too much on the Intel channel when Promethean Action is actually saying, yeah, today's, like today, for instance, the bombing today, they explain and trace back to the whole reason it happened is because of British Petroleum. Go watch Promethean Action's today's video, today's video, Saturday the 28th, I think. And they explain it, and they tell you, we've started watching this in the 70s, and it went from here to here to here to here, and now Trump just put it out like a cigarette in an ashtray. So I'm going to read some comments, and then we're going to call it a night. Oh, that was the last comment I got, but I'm still live. All right. All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. I am going to bring you up to date. We'll have a drawing day. Maybe soon we'll sit down and I'll point the camera down and I'll draw Swampy. I don't know if I'll have him up to date. Like I said, I drew it out and then I took a picture of it and uploaded it to AI and said ink and color this. Again, it's just a different path I took to do exactly what cartoonists today do who are complaining about AI. They ink AI, they color their drawings in AI, they have eliminated 2 out of 3 jobs. And to be honest, AI is only going to take out 50 to 80% of the artists, the low-hanging fruit artists, the artists that are not that good. There's no way they're going to get, although only probably 5% of people get a job in in comic books or can make a living in comic books, even as an independent person. Even the best independent comic books, that guy's got a regular job. It's the worst job in the world. If you want to get a job that requires you to work 80 hours a week and pays you nothing, become a comic book writer or an illustrator. The writers do pretty good. They can kick the story out in a couple days and move on to the next one. And a writer is what I am. I can draw. I've been drawing 3-dimensional perspective since I was 5 years old, or maybe 4, I think. Trained. My mom said I was a tiny little kid. I remember what house we lived in. We moved out of there when I was 5. Moved in there when I was 3. And I drew a train coming around the side of a mountain. And it got bigger and bigger. So big up front and tiny, small in the back. She said that when I was 4 or 5 years old, I did that. So I can draw. But why? To hire a colorist. Let's end on this. To hire someone to pencil my stuff while I'm writing the story and I hire a pencilist, I'm looking at $200 to $400 a page. Right now I'm up to 19 pages. Overall, I'm probably looking at like $16,000. For inker, I'm probably looking at $4,500. For a colorist, I'm probably looking at $4,500. So $22,000 to do what I just did with AI. I had to be the pencil guy at first. Then I built my models, and I got a picture of Swampy forward, sideways, and back. I got him in every single angle. And I'll tell you what, AI don't know the freaking difference between an eye patch and sunglasses, because I have done over 3,000 effing pictures where they keep giving Swampy sunglasses. The eye patch, I think, is a beautiful touch, but it was the biggest. I get AI, I direct AI, and like, for instance, you're going to see Swampy's airboat, but I designed it on a white background, and then I cut it out, and then I put it in the river. So AI is not generating my whole picture. AI is generating the background. Then I'm taking the characters, putting them in there, and telling AI, take Swampy and have him kneeling down on the ground picking up a dead snake. Okay, so I put the actor in. I put both actors in, and then I direct AI to position the actors that I put into the picture on a background. So I'm literally piecing all of these frames together. I'm not just saying, make this picture, and then it spits out the picture. That's not at all what's happening. Not at all. All right. I love you all. Thank you, Last Five, for sticking around and making it through. Peace and love worldwide. I'll be back soon. Hopefully the next time you see me, I will have, again, we're on page 19. I think we're going to go to 18. We just ended the fight. We just found out why Bigfoot, the Bigfoot community, has been attacking the humans. Why they broke the Trilateral Treaty from 1855, which you could look up on the internet right now. You can, everything else. But like I said, the story will always be. The lizard story with the generals is going to follow the lore that we know today. So what we know about these lizard people that I know exist, we're going to expose that in the Sedona comic book, and if we come to it. And I very much want to do the Sedona comic book because it's my second round, my second chance to send my IP to every single movie studio in the country. A year ago, somebody read the Swamp Hopper #1. In 2027, somebody's going to read Swamp Hopper #2 with a totally different story. I've already got the end. I've got everything for that story. Once you have the end of your story, everything before it writes itself. If you know the formula. And when you have the end, at Second City, when I walked on stage blank, I did not know what was going to happen when I walked on stage at Second City. I had no effing idea what scene I was going to be in, what character I was playing. Maybe 20% of the time I go out with a preconceived notion of my character. And I walk into a scene blindly, and when the trick is to know the end before you know the beginning. And when you know the end of your story before you know the beginning of your story, you have a fantastic story. When you're writing a story and you don't know the end, you're wasting everyone's time flailing around like a fish on concrete, on a pier. You're just flailing around. But you have direct, think of it like this. You don't know the end of your story. You're driving down the street, turning at 35 miles an hour, turning here, looking for that place, turning there down this side street, going there. When you know the end of your story, boom, you are 90 miles an hour down the highway trying to get to the end of that story. And that's where we are. And that's what is happening in this. And I promise, and really, honestly, at being a 28 or 32 page book, it's well less than a half hour read. Like, it is a fast comic book because so much of it is visual that there are very few pages that have more than 25 words on the whole page. Very few. And big font, 18, and big giant pictures. Okay, the one thing as a kid with bad eyes, when my parents didn't get me glasses, is I would read these comic books like this. And I would just get frustrated. And then the picture is, it's too much. Okay, that's about boobs. I don't want to show that. Okay. Like, there's so much there in that tight little spot. It's not enjoyable. But every single one of my pictures is big as enjoyable until you get to the intense parts. And then when it's the intense parts, it's still not small, but smaller. So your brain says, okay, we've been looking at these nice big pictures, 3 or 4 pictures per page. And then we turn the page, and then there's a big picture, and the bottom half of the page is 3 fast pictures. But you get right through. There's no words in those 3 big pictures. But you look at those 3 pictures, and this happens, then that happens, then that happens. Then we move to the next thing. The flow is wonderful. That's where I'm at. All right, let's see where you guys are. Where's Brett S? Damn it. Have a golden day, everybody. We're going to stick with that. And Mr. Love has a link to a YouTube. Hopefully that's Promethean Action, but it doesn't matter what it is. He can put up whatever he wants. Maybe I missed something. You could put a link up to anything in the world. All right, y'all. Peace and love worldwide. Live your life before your life lives you. If there's something strange in your swampy hood, who are you going to call? Swamp Hopper. Do 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 do. Beep beep.